Good morning, children. In today's class, you'll be studying one of the essential components for every living organism. So before we move on into the topic, let us recall our previous knowledge. So in your everyday life, you do one or the other kind of physical activities, which can be like writing, brushing, eating, standing, cooking, cycling, etc. So to do these various kinds of physical activities, you require energy. So if there's no energy in your body, if the energy is very less in your body, you feel very tired to do all these various kinds of activities. So do you know where do we get this energy from? We get this energy from the food. Food provides us this energy. So henceforth, we do the various kinds of physical activities in our everyday life. So henceforth, in this chapter, we'll be studying about food. Where does it come from? Under this chapter, you'll be learning variety of food, food ingredients, sources of food, plant parts used as food, food habits of animals. So if I just ask a question to you, what was your breakfast? So I would get different kinds of replies where one may say it was puri, the other may say it was idli, some other may say it was roti. So the answers just goes on with a different kinds of list. So with this, what do you conclude? The food what we eat or the substance which is edible for us to gain energy is not just a one single type. It varies with different kinds. So hence, the food what we eat have different varieties of items in it. So to prepare different varieties of food items, do you know what do we require? We require ingredients. So what do you mean by ingredients? Ingredients are the raw materials or the substance which is required to prepare the food, or the substance which are required to combine and make a particular food. You call them as ingredients. For example, if you take up a food item like rice. So to prepare rice, you require two ingredients, namely rice grain and water. Only then, if these two ingredients are there, only then you get a cooked rice. Or you feel like eating roti. So if you want to eat roti, again you have to get the ingredients like atta and water. So if these two ingredients are there, then you can prepare a food item such as roti. Or if you want to prepare a food item such as dal. So to prepare dal, you require the ingredients like pulses, water, salt, oil, tomato, spices, etc. So ingredients are very much necessary for us to prepare our food. So as you learned, ingredients are very much necessary. Now where do we get these ingredients from? We get these ingredients from two main sources, namely plant source, animal source. So what do you mean by plant source? The ingredients which we get from the plant, you call them as plant source. For example, the grains, the fruits, the vegetables, whatever you get as ingredients, so these we usually get from the plant. Now what are the ingredients we are getting from the animal source? So the ingredients which we get from the animal source can be like your egg, milk, butter, fish, meat, etc. comes under the group of animal source. So not only this, there is also another animal source which we get from honeybee. For example, if you take up a food item like idli. So you know the ingredients, whatever is required to prepare idli, namely rice, urad dal, salt, water. Now can you list the sources for all these ingredients? Where do they come from? So if you take up rice, the main source of rice is plant, because we are getting the rice grains from the plant. What about the urad dal? Same thing. The main source of this is the plant. If you take up the next food item, chicken curry. So to prepare this, the ingredients required are chicken, spices, oil or ghee, and water. So what are the sources for these ingredients? So for chicken, it is the animal source. Spices, it is a plant source. Oil, we extract it from the plant. What about ghee? Ghee is a animal source. If you want to prepare kheer, so to prepare kheer, the ingredients you require are milk, rice, sugar. So milk, it's a animal source. Rice is also a plant source. Sugar as well as it's a plant source. As you know, sugar we extract from the sugar cane. So henceforth, sugar is also a plant source. So right now we would have got an idea like which are the plant source and the animal source, where you can identify if the ingredients are given, you can identify which is the plant source and which are the animal source. Now as I was mentioning the ingredients and the source, I just left out with salt and water. So where does this salt and water come? So this salt and water are from our natural resources. So we take salt and water from our natural resources. For example, salt is extracted from seas and oceans. Water we get from the resources like rivers, lakes, ponds, etc. So with this we can conclude that animal provide the food ingredients like milk, meat products, egg, etc. Plant are the sources of food ingredients like grains, cereals, vegetables and fruits. If you take a plant products or the ingredients what we consume, few of the ingredients can be a leafy vegetable or few of the ingredients can be a fruit, or we may also sometimes consume the root and also the stem. So before stating the examples for the leafy vegetable, the stem ingredient or the flower part of ingredient, so let us recall the part of a plant which you have studied in your previous class. So in a part of a plant, these are the parts, namely flower, leaf, fruit, stem, root. So let us see the different parts of a plant which are producing a edible ingredients to prepare the food items. So if you take up a part of a plant like seed. So under seed we have different edible ingredients, namely rice, wheat, green gram. So all these ingredients are coming from the seed part of a plant. If you take up the leaf part, so which are the leaf part that are edible for us to prepare the food item? Those are namely coriander leaf, mint leaf, spinach leaf, etc. So if you take up the next part such as fruit, so the fruit can be like apple, tomato, brinjal, etc., which are edible part of a plant. What about the stem part which are edible for us to consume? So the stem part which are edible for us to consume are ginger, potato, etc. So coming to the root part. So under root part, so there are plants like radish, carrot, where we consume the root part of these plants. So with this we can say there are various parts of a plant which are edible and we consume them based on the type of plant. So we can't eat all the parts of a plant. We usually consume either 1, 2 or more, which depends on the kind of plant what are we going to eat. So far we have learned only the food habits or the food, what type of food we taken. So now we are going to see the food habits of other animals also. So if you have your pets around you or if you see a bird, you would have seen what kind of food they usually taken. So based on that, we have broadly classified all these animals into 3 different categories and we have named them as herbivore, carnivore and omnivore. So let us see what does these terms mean. So the first kind of food habit animals, you call them as herbivore. So what do you mean by herbivore? These animals consume only the plant and the plant products. So the animals which eat either the plant or the products of plant, so all those animals come under the category of herbivores. For example, cow, goat, zebra, etc. So the second term is carnivore. So carnivores are those group of animals which feed on the flesh of either a small or a large animal as their prey. So which they feed only on the flesh of other animals, you call them as carnivores. For example, lion, tiger, crocodile, etc. So third group of animals, you call them as omnivore. So omnivore are those kinds of animals which feed both on plant as well as the animals. So which consume the plant product and the animal product, you call them as omnivores. For example, bear, crow, hen, etc. So under omnivores, we do include human beings, as human beings also consume few of the animal products as well as the plant product. So far in this chapter, we have learned about the different kinds of food items and the sources of food items where we get from, and you have also studied about the ingredients which are required to prepare the food, and you have also studied the parts of a plant and the different edible parts of a plant, and we have studied about the food habits of animals where we have classified them into 3 different categories based on the type of food they eat and with the examples.